like share your thoughts. I will just be a helping hand. I just want to be a helping hand that may guide you guys in how to make decisions, but the moves have to be from your side. So it is the first move. So how do you want me to start with? Just remember the opening phase, we'll try to develop the pieces, castle as quickly as possible. While developing pieces, we have to make sure that we are controlling these four center squares, as I have mentioned already in the previous classes. So how do I start the position? What do you guys think? How should I start the position?
Sir, E4.
So let's go E4. Let's see how the computer responds. So the computer is responding by the knight. Now, the thing is, generally what happens is that there has to be the smallest piece near the borderline, near the midline margin. I am having that, like white is having that, but black did not respond in the same manner. So, if black had played something like, suppose if black had played something like, we create one more board. Had black played the move this, then I guess bringing knight out and bishop out, these kind of moves is fine. But once he played knight c6, this gives us one extra opportunity to reclaim the center by pushing another pawn on d4. I hope this is clear. So what I'll do, we will again push one more pawn in the center and have reinforce, like I'm trying to reinforce my control on the center. So now computer is trying to challenge, and now again I want to ask, how should I react to this thing? Like I'm having a couple of options here. I can push pawn forward, I can capture that pawn, or I can develop a piece or support that pawn. Every option is fine. But if you choose any option, they will have, like that particular option will have its own consequences, its own good points, its own bad point. So let's start, like what comes to the mind when we are trying to make a decision here? Should we push, should we take, should we support?
We will support, sir. We will support.
Support. Okay, what would you?
With knight, sir.
Okay. So that is kind of a move. So now what happens? I'll just tell you. Okay, Akriti, what about you?
We can take the pawn and then we can move the bishop forward.
Okay, understood. Now, again, let's go back to this discussion and let me make you guys understand what happens. Suppose if we support the pawn with the knight. Now the point is, the knight is creating pressure on the pawn, correct? The queen is also creating an indirect pressure, it's indirect gaze on my pawn. So what will happen here is this guy takes, knight takes, suddenly my pawn is lost because queen takes, and suddenly opponent has one extra pawn. So basically what we have to avoid is, I don't want my queen, like my opponent's queen, to be super active. So the file in which my opponent queen will be active is the D file. So I don't want to be making sure that the D file gets semi-opened. Like I mentioned about open, semi-open and closed. So here I want this file to be closed. Now again, same point with this thing. I'll capture. And again, somehow I'm helping my opponent to develop the queen in front. And the point is, again, this guy is kind of loose. So what I want to close the file. Because now the queen cannot activate itself and the pawn is also safe. I hope I'm clear? Right?
Yes.
Knight c3, same
Yes,
problem.
yes, sir.
Queen gets activated and I lose my pawn. Pawn d5, same problem. Queen gets activated and pawn is, I'm not losing the pawn, but the pawn is kind of, I'm not so comfortable with my pawn over d4. So what I'll do, I'll just try to close that file. I'll try to push the pawn and close it. Let's see what the computer has in mind. So computer tries to develop its bishop. Why that move is played? if like this is a very nice move played by the computer, but why is that move played? Again, we have to understand. We were trying to understand each and every decision in a very deep manner. Now, basically, what do we try to achieve from an opening? We try to bring the minor pieces out and we try to castle quickly. Now again, suppose guys, if he has to castle, he has to play e6, bishop out, and then castle, then maybe knight out somewhere and castle, right? As soon as the pawn comes to e6, this guy is kind of dead because the bishop has no scope. So that's why bishop f5 first is played. And now again, question to the class: how do we react to it? So what is this bishop on f5 trying to basically, sometimes it's like not always you have to react only when the opponent is trying to actually attack something. Sometimes you have to also understand that right now bishop is not attacking this pawn, but it's keeping an eye to the pawn. Like maybe in the next move, if it can reinforce its pressure on the pawn, my pawn is going to be lost. So what is black trying to do here? What is the next move? Suppose if I just make a random move, if I just play knight f3, what is black trying to do? How will black put more pressure on the pawn? On my c2 pawn. Because bishop is eyeing on the pawn right now. Black needs one more piece. That's it. One more piece to put pressure on the pawn.
If the bishop takes on our pawn, we'll have to break our.
You have to say it again, Akriti. Your net got bigger.
Thank you.
If the bishop takes our pawn, we'll have to make our queen active out to play. So that way, it's making us develop the pieces.
So, right now, this guy tries to capture it. Suppose I play knight f3, he cannot capture right away because I am simply happy because I have won a bishop. But the point is, he's right now gazing on the pawn. He's not trying to take the pawn straight away. He's trying to keep an eye on the pawn. Maybe he will bring one more piece and try to pressurize my pawn. Now, which is the other piece on the board that he can try to play with and try to put pressure? It is the what he wants here is knight comes to b4 and suddenly I'm in big trouble. Why? Because these two guys are ganging upon my c2 pawn and I cannot, it's very difficult for me to protect it. If you try to push pawn up thinking that okay, this guy is trying to support it, but the point is the knight and the bishop are still putting pressure on this square. So now knight comes c2, checks your king, and you lose your rook as well. I mean, the king goes wherever it wants, and then we cannot even capture it because bishop takes it. So the point is, after bishop f5, it is very important to understand that bishop is not trying to capture the pawn straight away. It is trying to put a gaze on the pawn so that the knight comes to b4. So what I will do, I have to stop the knight from coming to b4 and I have to also, try to support these two guys, because these two guys are too far and I have to make a pawn chain kind of thing. So how can I achieve both the tasks in one move? Yeah, exactly. So I'll go pawn c3, right? c3 does everything. It not allows the knight to move to b4 and also I'm controlling the center. Let's see what the opponent has in mind. Okay, fine. He makes a move. And now once the dust has settled, once I'm not having any threats from my opponent, I'll focus on my development of the piece. Now I want to see how to bring the pieces out.
Knight f3, sir.
Knight f3 makes sense. do that. Akriti, knight f3, right?
This can be done.
Okay, so now he is also focusing on development of the piece. One more thing that has to be made clear.
But why are we not moving our bishop?
Yeah, bishop has to move now. So it will be the bishop move. Now again, one more thing that has to be made clear is that here you have to understand one trap. Let me just show you. Always remember, whenever the bishop it sits on c8, it always looks after b7 pawn. And this is where you should be aware of this trap. When the bishop goes away, now b7 is kind of loose. So what many people do, they try to be greedy of this pawn. And this is called poison pawn, because sometimes taking this pawn can be counterproductive. Why am I saying that? Suppose if he will play a random move, let him play a random move, like suppose something like this. And now queen takes b7. It's a free pawn. The knight is also under attack. But sadly, you will realize that in just knight to a5, the queen is gone. It is trapped. So this is called as a poison pawn. You have to always be careful when should you take the pawn, when should you not take the pawn. Because many people have seen, when they see this logic that okay, the bishop earlier defends b7 and after the game goes on, nobody is defending b7 anymore, so why not just go and attack it? But what happens is, now the queen is trapped. Queen cannot go here, rook attacks, cannot come up, pawn attacks, cannot go here, knight attacks, cannot go here, pawn attacks, cannot go here, sorry, oops, bishop attacks, cannot go here, knight attacks. So is it clear that the queen is trapped?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, how should you understand when to take b7, when not to take b7? It's a very simple logic. The logic is, if same thing has been done, but the a6 pawn is on a7, then you can safely take the pawn. Let me just show you. Suppose same thing has been done in which a6 pawn, a pawn has not moved up. Now you can do that. Why? Because now knight goes here. The point is you cannot go here, knight attacks. Cannot go here, pawn attacks. Cannot come up. Like no. Now, you can come up because a6 pawn is not there, right? That is what I was trying to say. That now you can give a small check. You go here and now finally come back wherever you want. Right? Your queen is now safe. Correct? So the point is, we can take on b7 if the a7 pawn is there on a7, but we should never take on b7 if a6 has been played, because once we take poison pawn, the only escape point is either a6 or b5. And if the pawn is on a6, both the squares are already covered. So I hope I was clear about this. Anyways, so here I won't be going for the poison pawn because I'm seeing that the a6 is already there. Now, focusing on the development, I'll try to bring my bishop out. And the point is, where should I keep the bishop? So if you go for logical squares, this is not a good one because pawn takes. This is not a good one, pawn takes. I have only two good options. Now,
we can move the knight to c. We can move the knight to g5.
D3, sir. D3, sir.
Knight g5.
G5. So
Okay.
we can lure the queen and then we can move our bishop in the next move, or we can take a pawn.
Oh, no. You should not take the pawn, Akriti, because you will be losing the knight.
Sir, D3. We will move D3, sir.
Yeah, d3. Because, like this knight is already out. So what my main focus is that I won't be jumping in my opponent's camp until unless I'm having my entire army. So thing is, I'm having choice of e2 and d3. Now both the options are equally good. They are popular at the highest level, played by many grandmasters. Point is, why bishop d3 is slightly better than e2. You should always compare your pieces with the opponent's pieces. Light square bishop, you should compare with your light square bishop. Now look at the availability of the squares. This guy can go wherever it wants. your bishop is having limited availability. So the opponent's light square bishop is kind of a better piece as compared to my light square bishop. So I want my kind of a average piece to be exchanged off with the best piece of the opponent. So that's the deal. So I'll just go bishop e3. So he goes back. Now, why has he gone back? Because he could have taken me again. He can still take me, but why did he go back? Now he's saying that if I try to take the bishop, what he will do, let me show you. What he will try to do is, he will try to capture by the pawn, and now suddenly the rook is coming over. And now if you try to castle this way, it's kind of a very dangerous decision because the rook has the open space. So that's the trick. So the point is, when should we capture this guy? Now what my recommendation is, never capture this bishop until unless the opponent also has not castled it. Let me explain. Suppose bishop comes out, let me make a random move. Suppose you castle, bishop comes out, wherever it wants, actually it doesn't matter where. Like knight goes here, just let me just make a couple of moves. Like queen goes up, d2, knight goes away. No, knight d2 is a blunder because I lose the bishop. So I first go queen c2, knight goes away, knight d2, bishop e7, takes, and rook e1, castle. Now I can capture this guy happily because even if he captures with the pawn, there is no rook sitting here to attack me. Clear? Right? So this is where I can capture it. I can capture here as well, like in the game that's going on, but it's recommended that you should refrain from such kind of captures because we are only helping up my opponent. So what I'll do, I'll simply castle. Let's see how my opponent is developing its pieces. Bishop e7, a nice choice. Now I'm having the king safety, I'm having knight out, bishop out, the point is, where do I see these pieces? So what should I do about these guys? Your decision. Let's see. Think. Now the game is kind of going interesting. What should we do?
Sir, we will take care of bishop to e3, sir.
Bishop e3. Yeah. Yes. I agree. It can be. It is a f4 is also a move. Yes. f4 is also a move. Fine. Can be done. The only thing is, knight d2 is not a possibility here because I will blunder the bishop, right? Because if I play knight d2 right away, my queen won't be defending my bishop and I will lose my piece. So yeah, I guess bishop f4 can be done. I agree with that point. Bishop e3 also can be done, but I will be choosing bishop to f4 as a better choice than bishop e3. Why? Hard to explain, but I will say that bishop on e3 is kind of super blocked. But if I go to f4, I can bring it back to g3 at some point of time. When I will play f4, f5, my bishop will be opening up on this diagonal. But even e3 is fine. Like, I cannot justify why bishop f4 is better than e3. But it depends on player to player how you guys want to play. You can play e3 as well. Many people here will be comfortable with f4. I'll tell you the reason why. Suppose you should notice your opponent's pieces as well. Your opponent is basically struggling in developing the knight. Right? He cannot develop his knight anywhere as of now. Now Now if you go bishop e3, he'll play pawn f6, asking you to please take me so that he can take with the knight, right? Just imagine the same thing. You go f4, he goes here, and now you take, he takes with the knight, and suddenly you are having the bishop on the right diagonal. Right? And also, you can start, after he goes here, now you can start direct attacks on the pawn. So f4 is slightly better than e3. But again, e3 is also fine. Just to explain why f4 is slightly better in such positions, because black is struggling to develop the knight. If it goes here, I'll just destroy the wall, right? If it goes here, so the bishop f4, if it goes here, I'm more than happy to again move my same piece because the wall is crashed. And I can go queen d2, hit on the pawn again. Right? Anyways.
Why can't we move our bishop to f5 and then can lure the black bishop into, taking it, and then we can use our knight to take that bishop and further use our knight to take.
Yeah, bishop g5, right? Now, I guess this was the move.
So if they take our bishop,
Queen will come back.
Then the point is queen is taking your knight again. And we are losing two pieces. We are losing bishop and knight, opponent is only losing a bishop. So it's like how to calculate these things, always count number of attackers. Like how many times am I attacking here? The empty square. I'm attacking the empty square by 2 times. Opponent is doing the same job. So when number of attackers and defenders are equal on empty square, you should never attack the empty square. That's the logic. Until unless you have one extra piece that can attack on the empty square, maybe after queen d2, that is a possibility. But queen d2 blocks my bishop. That's why bishop g5 is kind of a risky decision. Okay. So I'll be choosing. Yeah. Okay.
yes.
So I'll be choosing bishop f4 here for the reason explained, because I think that he will be playing f6. Not so sure, but people play f6 in such positions. Okay, he's just randomizing his moves. He's just, now we are forcing them to play some random moves. Now I cannot explain why this move is done because it's a bad move. So I don't know the reason why has he played that move, because it's absolutely it doesn't make any sense. He could have played something like queen d7 and castle long side if my opponent was facing difficulty to develop. Now why is he facing difficulty to develop? Because usually knight likes to sit on f6, right? Now imagine in the back, long back, when this was the case, and if you were not playing d5, only once you played e5, the knight is now finding it difficult to come out. So small decision. This is move number 3 here. So the decision you made on move number 3 is helping us throughout the game. So now how do we develop the knight? Point is, this guy is still struggling to come out. So what is a better way to bring my piece out? Now it needs some plan, it needs some strategy. It's not a direct way how to develop the knight.
We can move the pawn a2
Okay.
and lure the black bishop, so that if the bishop is lured, we can move our knight to capture.
Okay, capture. But then the question again, then what if he doesn't capture? Like, why will he capture that? Because obviously he'll be losing more than he'll be winning. So whenever we have to try to attract my opponent's piece, I have to give something for free, because then they will try to take it. But in this case, I don't think so he will capture you, because he is knowing that if bishop goes and captures the a3 pawn, the bishop is gone.
Sir, pawn c4.
Pawn c4. Now again, pawn c4 is interesting, but now why did we play pawn c3 in the opening? Because we are maintaining a huge chain like this. Now if we play pawn c4 here, the point is he will be, we are helping them to develop the bishop out, and knight will also come out.
Okay.
And c3 is right now controlling d4, so maybe d4 is also slightly loose. So we need a concrete plan here, like how do we bring the knight out? Because also knight a3 should not be played because it's a bad move. Bishop will be more than happy to just take, pawn takes, and knight gets a square to develop on e7. So then we don't have a good opening development. So now here I am having 2-3 choices. I'll share all of them. First of all, I can play queen c2. Why queen c2? Because I want to bring knight to d2. I cannot go knight d2 straight away because I lose the bishop. So first queen c2, forming battery like this, and then I want to go knight d2. And then, but again, knight on d2 is doing nothing at all. So what is the plan with knight d2? I'll share. Then I will put the rook over here. Try to understand this. Knight on f1 and knight on e3 or g3. Because suddenly once the knight sits on g3, no, it has a lot of possibilities to jump up and go for the kill. So d2, even if I bring the knight to d2, it doesn't have any possibility as of now. But if I start maneuvering my knight and bring it towards my king side, I'll be having a good king, a safe king, a much safer king than it is right now. And later on, I'll be having a possibility like to just go knight h5 after the bishops have been traded off. So that's how in such kind of situations, whenever we get stuck, we try to develop. Other possibility, instead of queen c2, I can even try queen e2. Idea being still the same. Why am I forcing the queen to c2 more? Because I want them to play something like, knight away, and as soon as he castles, I'll be just trying to go for here. But even that can be done by queen e2. But after the capture happens, so I want the queen to be sitting on this file, because once his king castles over here, my queen from c2 will be kind of having a right direction. Same can be said about e2. So it depends again, these kind of decisions are like I cannot justify why only c2 is the best option, like why c2 is better than e2. Both the moves are played at the top level, so I'm not going to justify this thing. But it depends again on the player to player playing style. If you want c2, I will play c2. If you want e2, I can go e2. But long story short, idea will be the same, that I want to bring the queen and form battery with this guy, the bishop, and then I want knight d2, rook e1, knight f1, knight g3, or knight e3, depending upon how the game is going. It's not like I have to also, kind of react to my opponent's choices as well. So what should I go for?
Sir, queen, sir, c2.
Queen to c2.
See again. That's why I said no. Why did he play c8? I was not in a position to explain, because he's like the computer simply wasted a move. The same thing could have been done here, and then he could have castled. But anyways, it's a slow computer. Like it's just level 4, so he's making these kind of mistakes. Once you start going up to level 5, level 6, then they will show the true colors. Like they will start becoming strong. So now knight d2 as planned. Oh, they have castled. Now this is called as a case, so this is very interesting. It's going to be a very interesting game. This is a position of opposite castles. Your king is on the king side, right side of the board. Opponent's king is on the queen side, left side of the board. So all these maneuvers will not work because I have to attack towards this side. My attacking scenario has changed. Now, how to create an attack? In the opposite side castling, it only can be done if you destroy the wall. Now, what is the wall? This is a wall. This is my wall because this is where my king sits. This is my gatekeeper. Same story. This is where the opponent king is sitting, and this guy is the gatekeeper. Right? So I can only, and now see why c2, I chose c2 more because now if I can just open up this file, and if I remove his c7 pawn somehow in future, the queen will be in the right place to simply start the attack. So now how this attack is done, I'll just tell you. You can even just to remember something, if you're having something to write on to make these kind of bullet points, you can write it down that in the opposite side castling, the only way, I mean there are many ways, but the most popular, logical, at the same time playable option is to start pushing the pawns towards opponent's king, like b4, a4, b5, and now I'll destroy the wall, and once the wall is gone, the king is exposed, I'll bring both the rooks and I'll just go for checkmate. Usually when both the kings castle on the opposite side, mostly the game ends in someone's favor, like either white will win or black will win. Only at the top level and very rare it ends in a draw, because this is like just bloodbath. You have to go for the kill. You have to start pushing pawns. Same thing will be done by the opponent. They will also start pushing pawns towards your side and trying to destroy your wall and expose your king and trying to checkmate you. It's just a race. Either you checkmate me first, or I am waiting for you to, like I am waiting to do the same to you. So now how to go for the pawn storm attack? Now this is called, whenever I say that you have to start pushing pawn, you are basically creating a storm with the pawns. So it's called pawn storm attack. So you can note it down, like in the opposite castling, the most popular way to attack is by pushing pawns. Pawn storm attack. How do we do that? I want to go this move, b4, but there's one slight problem with b4. Now let me just show it on the screen. Suppose if I go b4 directly, now what is the problem with b4? It's a very it's a very,
It will be taken by.
The knight will take the pawn,
then
and if pawn tries to capture the knight, it will expose the.
yeah, but then it's bad right now for white. I'm saying white's bad for white. I'm saying if you go b4 straight away, it's bad. That's what I'm saying. And this is where chess tactics are. You have to be strong in such kind of tactical moves. You have to figure out how these kind of tactics are being played, and that's what I said, that you should be very careful of, like you should start practicing these things, these kind of things, the puzzle and the 4-pin and these kind of things. This is where you have to be super strong at. At the point, like, okay, let's I'll give 3-4 minutes to think. This is a kind of a bad move here, b4. Makes sense, but slightly inaccurate. Kind of one step early. The hint I'll just give. Like this bishop is kind of creating a problem over here. Like something involving.
Sir, first we'll do this. If you take this step, then
yes, sir.
Bishop will take off that pawn, sir.
And pawn takes.
Pawn hits means then knight will come over here.
And now it is
4.
So you will save the queen obviously, but you can just say bye bye to your bishop. So that is the problem. And operand is already +2. But here still the problem can be solved. If you go b4 and if he's deciding to go here, you are forced to capture this guy first. Rook will be opening up and now you can capture him. And he will capture you like this. And now you can move it away. And the point is, he will go back. This is kind of a playable position. But how should I put it? Like the rook is opening up, but you are still +1. But your bishop is on f4, so covering h2. So I guess b4, if b4 is tried, and if he captures you, you should first of all relieve the tension between these guys. So after takes, and now you can just clear. So I guess b4 can be played here. Let's try it anyways. Let's see what happens. Oh, so he moved the king. Now I won't be going b5. I want pawn storm. So how should I create the attack? I don't want to go b5 straight away. So what should I do here? A very important move. I want to create the storm with the pawns.
Pawn c4, sir.
Pawn c4, then the b4 is gone. c3 is the only thing defending these guys.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Then pawn.
We can move our rook to f5. Sorry.
Which move?
We can move the rook next to the king to the e file.
Rook e file. Kind of playable.
Just to see what they will play next. Just a waste move, but just to see what they will play next.
They will try to play something like f6 and they will start storming. They will start the storm as
pawn, sir. Pawn a4.
So Akriti, basically here, as I mentioned before, that in the opposite castling, either you checkmate me or I will checkmate you. These are the only two options we have. So rook is right now already on a closed file. Two different color pawns, so rook is already on a closed file. Even if I go rook e1, it will again be on a closed file because two different pawns are there, so no open space is being created. And he wants, like my opponent wants, the computer wants to play f6 because after pawn takes, knight takes, or maybe he will take with a pawn and then he will start ganging up and start the attack on my king. Like just to show you, make you understand. Hang on, just a moment. Rook e1 and I will play f6. I'll make sure that you capture my pawn. You will capture my pawn because the bishop gets opened. But the point is, after this, and okay, even I can even go like this, and I mean, it is still possible to play this position. You can still play, but the rook is still not so nicely placed over here. You can still try knight e5. Knight e5 is also a possibility that looks good. But after change. The point is we are playing in the center. We have made a couple of moves and every move has been played in the center. The more moves you play in the center, the more you are delaying the game because the game is going towards this side. You have to destroy the wall. So the more moves I choose to make in the center, I'm delaying my attack on the corner. At the same point of time, my opponent can take the charge and attack on me. Same story. A4. Let me show you. A4. Let him go f6. I won't react. I'll go b5. And now this is just crushing. If he takes, pawn takes, and now rook is already there. Queen wants to jump in. So this is a very, very fast forward attack. So this is pawn storm. You have to just go for it. So now I guess, okay, see, he's just making random moves, and now without any further ado, just go b5. So it's like that only. Okay, so now he captured. So see, we waited, and finally my opponent gave up, and now we have captured, and now rook is still sleeping there. So now see, he's playing h6 because he wants g5 and g4 like that. So I hope this is clear. I hope I'm not going too fast. So again, my opponent has made a mistake. So what do we do? It's a free thing. My opponent is offering something for free now. What do we do here?
Sir, we will move this rook to b1, sir. b2, sorry.
Something else is also there. Something else is also there.
We can move the pawn b to capture.
Exactly, yes. Absolutely. You're getting a free thing. Absolutely correct. 1 point. Now, I'll show you one more variation. You can catch the knight, queen takes. And then I'll try to bring both the rooks in the game. Maybe try to double it up on the b file and try to go for the kill, right? What many people here choose, I'll just share this thing. They won't capture the knight. That's the fun part. They'll capture this guy. Making sure that you captured me, and now queen enters in the game. And now rook b1 is very close to a checkmate. Not just very close, it is a checkmate after knight b4 happens. So this is, but the point is, after this happens, they will never capture you. What they will do instead is they will not react to you. They will try to go for counter attack. So that is what I was trying to explain. So best move is to just, what Akriti was saying, is to capture free piece. Whenever we see free pieces, just go for it. Okay, like mostly, not always. Okay, so queen c6. Now, what was being suggested, that now this b file has become semi-open, right? The file in which my king is sitting, the g file is still closed because two different color pawns. So I'm still kind of safe right now, as of now. So I'll go b1. Just try to double it up quickly. See, same point. He's going g5 now. He'll go g4. Understood? These kind of moves you have to be very, very aware. Now what do we do in such positions? What should we do here? Because g4 is coming. g4 is coming in the next move. So what should I do here? And that is what I was trying to say earlier. There's a difference between bishop e3 and f4. I was not in a position to justify f4 then, but I can justify it now. That suppose if your bishop is on f4, you will move to f here. Like you can go back, inviting the opponent to play g4, and now you go knight h4. No attack possible. Nobody is trying to destroy a wall because this guy is defending. Now suppose if your bishop was there on e3, he goes g4, you cannot go knight h4 because bishop is not on g3, it cannot protect knight. Your bishop was on e3 if. I hope this is clear.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So let's go bishop e3 back. Simple. Now what they will do, they'll play, yeah. So that's what I was trying to say. Okay, he capture. And now I'm perfectly fine. The position is kind of safe to me. So now there's no storm coming from my opponent side. This is still closed. So what do we do now? What do we do now? My rook is kind of good. This rook is simply doing nothing right now. This knight is not doing anything. So I want to improvise my knight. Now suppose if I give you a couple of moves and ask you, where do you see the knight? On which square you want the knight to be on? What will you say?
I'll move the knight to e4.
E4, then one takes, no? Maneuver it, take couple of moves.
First b3, sir. B3.
And then after b3, then
Then I will go to a6.
c5. A6 you want. Okay. After b3, you can go a4, a5.
Yes, sir.
That is possible. You can also go c5 because the knight, once it jumps to c5, it's looking at here with the rook. It gets combined with the rook, and suddenly my d2 knight, which is just a useless piece right now, will become one of the most important pieces. So that's how I'm building my attack. I'm not doing much. I'm just trying to improvise. I'm improvising my pieces slowly. So he's offering the exchange of the queens, and usually it is said that if you are the attacking side, you should avoid the exchange of the pieces. But here, what I say to everyone, that whenever you are +2, suppose here we are +2, so we can exchange everything, we'll be winning the end game. That's the simplest form to win the game. If you become +2, what is the meaning of +2 here? That if you see the point table over here, it shows that you are +2. So when you become +2, you can even start exchange of the pieces. So I can, just to simplify the position, because the more I exchange, the more I'm reducing the chances of counter attack. See, and now my opponent, now I'll go knight a4, a5, because obviously it's a fork. I'm attacking these two guys at the same time. So I go knight a5, and the rest is just how you are converting the game. See, he's giving everything now. So you enter b7, bring the other rook, and go for the game over. You can also capture this guy. It totally depends how you want to finish it off. It depends on player to player, how a player wants to finish it off. I'm not saying this is the only way you can finish it off. Again, I'm +3, so I want to exchange equal value pieces. Bishop and knights are equal. Fine, let me just read it. But obviously, there are many ways to finish it off. I'm not saying, and now the rook is there, knight is there. This guy is just sleeping. Just form battery. And now there's a tactic here. Finally on the board, it's match winning time. White to play and create a tactic. This is game over. Unstoppable game over. Like, how will you exchange everything? How will you exchange two rooks from the board? This is just over, finished. Like, this is, in 2 moves, game is finished. If you notice carefully, the king is trapped. So now make a plan. Think for 2-3 minutes.
Sir, knight will move to c6, sir.
And the plan named? Knight c6. Rook is under attack. Rook goes away. Yes. And knight c6 is the best move. But the plan being, now rook can go a7. Because knight is guarding that as.
Yes, sir.
So knight c6. It is game over. Unstoppable checkmate. And now he's just wasting a chance. So that's how we just created a game against level 4. Once we start, practicing hard and practicing more and more, we'll be doing the same thing with level 5, level 6 in future if everything goes right, even with level 7.
Sir.
So the thing is, we did not do anything crazy. Like, we did not try to, go for attack or something. We just saw how to develop the pieces in a nice manner. That's it. The game was focused on how to do good development. That's it. Nothing much. So here it was a 27 move game. And the point of this game was like, let's go back from move number 1. See, the interesting phase started even right after move number 2, when it was a discussion that why we should not capture this guy. Because now I guess always pushing a pawn makes sense, because I'm not allowing the knight to come on f6. And if you notice carefully, at the end of the 27th move, the knight was there till move number 22. Just
Yes,
because
sir.
you never allowed the knight to develop.
Exactly.
So that's the point. The decisions that we take long back in the opening will be reflected in the endings, or maybe in the middle game. So now this is also a very interesting point. Like, many people, what they do here is, let's go back, e4, and once I see that my opponent has played knight, what they do, they also play this, and then it's a normal opening. So now we are just playing a normal opening. It's also good. But if the opponent is giving you to take the center, we have to take the center. And now, only after so basically I should say that from move number 1 itself, the things started to heat up. So after this, again, bishop and knight tactic was something that we discussed today. So c3, stopping everything. a6, we discussed the poison pawn variation over here. Knight c3, because a6 is there, so I won't be going here for the pawn. e6, bishop d3, we try to understand why bishop d3 and why not e2. Bishop goes back, and also again we discussed why we should not capture this guy. Castles, bishop e7, and we discussed bishop f4. A very interesting decision, and this was just a wasting move. And then we discussed how to bring the knight in the game. Knight d2, castle, and that is where the concept got included of pawn storm attack. So this is pawn storm attack. b5, and it is just simply over. Takes, it goes here, and now g5, and again bishop g3, pushes, and knight h4. And now he cannot push anything. Capture, but point is he cannot push, because I'll again capture it, and nobody can try to break it open. My bishop is like a permanent piece over here. So now this was just over, and now finally the knight, which was simply sitting on d2 for the most amount of time, became one of the most important pieces in the ending. And this is where it got over. Knight c6 and check. So I hope the game was clear, and if any doubts regarding the game, I'll be creating a video of it, and I'll be sharing the link, so that again, if you want to revise how these things are being done, you can always do that. But what I will suggest is that start playing more and more, and also start doing the puzzles as well, so that we are having a decent idea of how we should try to go forward. So today I did this thing with level 4, and next week I'll try to do the same thing with level 5 to show you how should we go against level 5 as well. But by next week, it means we are leveling up. We are leveling the level of the class one step up. So if I can see more games from you guys, then maybe because level 5 will not play such mistakes like this. Level 4 gave us a knight, which Akriti spotted, but level 5 won't do that. I mean, maybe it would, but I don't think so. So to defeat level 5 will be slightly more difficult, but everything will be based on the fundamentals, nothing out of the book. Whatever I'll be trying to do on the class will be on the small fundamentals that we have learned to control center, develop nicely and things like that. But how it is done, that is the key. So I'll be stopping here. If there is any doubt regarding the game, obviously you can ask. Otherwise, we'll be wrapping up the session.
Sir, fine, sir. Everything
No
is
doubt.
fine.
All right. So I'll be seeing everyone